Austrian Grand Prix. That was a damn fun race. Now, according to F1 rules, we must wait 3 weeks to find the actual results. I mean, there would be riots in the street of America if any sport was like, I know you watched it, but it's going to take a while. Pierre Gasly just gets his Monaco trophy. This is crazy to me. It's crazy. There'd be riots in the streets here in America if a good sports governing body tried to pull such nonsense. Oh well. Are you ready to go, son?
I'm ready to go.
Hello, welcome to Hard Compound, an American take on Formula One. We just finished watching the Austrian Grand Prix, race 8. George Russell essentially led it from the start, but he had to fight. He had to fight to keep it. Patrick, who gets the flowers for the Austrian Grand Prix?
Yeah, George finally gets back on the top step of the podium after 6 weeks off, basically. 6 races off, I should say. So, maybe back in contention now. We'll see. But did really well this weekend. I mean, I think everyone sort of realized Mercedes was going to be kind of the fastest team around the track, but George figured out how to get on pole, and that was really all they needed. Obviously, he had to work a little bit to keep it. Hamilton came charging through at kind of the start of the race. Ferrari obviously petered out there, and then dealing with Max is no easy task either. So, I mean, good on him. I think Mercedes kind of called a better race than Red Bull did. They obviously have it a little bit easier knowing they have the pace and the position. But overall, George finally without any kind of mechanical issues, and, he kept his cool. So I think big props to him, seeing Max kind of really fight there and come pretty close, I think is also really good to see. And that should be fun and exciting to have Max kind of back up near the top, really competing. So yeah. I think, those two in particular probably come away as kind of the top two from this race.
I think a lot of people, maybe because it was Max's home race, they're giving Red Bull grief. You didn't use the tires he had. You didn't bring him in the right time. But this is tough. Mercedes has a better car. And some of these decisions, it's like, was that the right decision? No. In that exact moment, it wasn't exactly right. But you don't always get everything to go your way. So I think that's a bit of some lazy analysis. But has it really been that long since George was on the podium?
First race this season. Top step, right? He's been on the podium a couple of other times, I think.
Yeah. But I mean, damn, because he got lucky with the yellow in qualifying. And I know he's had some bad luck, but Kimi was pressing. I think Kimi was wise to not really press too hard at the end to overtake Max. I think Max was not going to let him. And I think Max has a reputation where it's like, hey, we're going to take this to the very end. Whatever you bring, I'll bring. And I think Kimi was wise to sort of like, hey, I'm going to get P3. That's still a lot of points. So, but yeah, it's fine because we realize, because we always sort of mock George. We call him like a Bond villain. But man, I did not realize he had so many haters. People were out there hating on him for not, essentially having his qualifying lap deleted, for not braking, essentially, instead he just lifted. But over and over, they showed he was correct. The timing wasn't good for Kimi. Kimi misread what was on his steering column, but that was a yellow that George saw. He did everything right in qualifying.
Yeah, I think people, it's understandable because George clearly has the most punchable face of anybody on the grid. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things that you can look to and not like and kind of complain about and whatever. But sometimes you're just wrong when you complain about certain things. And in this case, most people are wrong to be like, he should have a lap time deleted. It's like, no, he obviously shouldn't. This is clear, but it is what it is. And, I think kind of a lot of the qualifying results were a little weird. It was pretty obvious that, maybe not obvious, but Ferrari had like fine single lap pace, but they clearly out-qualified their race pace. I mean, they were slowest of any of those top 4 teams in this race. They just couldn't hold on to their tires. So they were obviously way out of position. Max pushing hard, too hard, I guess, and went off. And so he's kind of now qualified out of position behind the Ferraris and whatnot. And I think, George was going to be P1 or P2. just because Kimmy sort of got screwed a little bit, or maybe didn't do exactly what he potentially should have done. I don't know. It seems like people are upset about that.
Yeah.
But
You mentioned Ferrari. Charles is 46 behind Lewis, only 8 races in. The worst he's ever been. Even his first year at Ferrari was 7th there. He was never this far behind. And this should be his team. He's been there a decade. He signed a big contract. Lewis is in his 40s. What's going on with Charles Leclerc?
I don't know. Maybe he peaked already. He got married and now he doesn't care anymore. I don't know.
Got married, got the big
There's
contract.
Yeah, I tell you, he signed his contract at the right time, I guess. So he seems out of it. I don't know what happened because the first, what, 3, 4 races of the season, he was the only driver that could compete with Mercedes, the only one. And now it's totally flipped. Lewis has clearly been better than Charles for a number of races now, and it shows in the points. I think a couple of those maybe mechanical DNFs that Charles had sort of shook him up. I don't know. It just seems weird that he's so far back now. Obviously, Lewis is feeling it, so there's kind of that to go along with it. Just a weird time in the season. It seems like I expect he'll get better, or kind of close that gap up to Lewis a little bit, but it's not going well for him right now.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Isaac Hadjar, we predicted this last year. We said, Max has a reputation of destroying his teammates. We thought Isaac was going to hang, and he has. And we even said, like, he's got so much talent. The complexity of these cars, the manner of these cars somewhat hem in Max's ability to go flat out always. All those factors we thought Isaac would not beat Max, but hang. And so that's been good to see. And actually, it's funny because I saw the pre-show on Sky did a feature with Isaac. I'm like, what a charmed life, this kid. He's an F1 driver. They show him, they're interviewing him in the private jet. Someone slapped a $100,000 watch on his wrist. I'm like, life is good for this kid.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be pretty nice to make it into F1 at any point in time. Yeah, it's been going well. I think he kind of got the call up to Red Bull at the right time. A couple of guys came before him that did not get the call up at the right time. But, I wouldn't say he's hanging with Max necessarily, but he's not floundering in Red Bull, right? He's getting kind of maximizing what you would expect from the number 2 Red Bull driver. He's not consistently losing to the Racing Bulls, these kinds of things. So he's shown that he's done well. Obviously in Monaco, he did really well. And I think, he definitely doesn't look out of it. So that's good to see. He clearly isn't showing the same pace as Max is, but yeah, like I said, just not floundering, which is exactly what happened the entirety of last season.
Right. All right, driver standings. 8 races in. Kimi still in the lead, 171. George now with today's win is in P2 at 131, so 40 behind. So we have 12 to 14 races remaining. I think they're 14 officially, but I've always said I'm still uncertain if the last 2 in Middle East will happen. But either way, if he comes in, George gets P1, Kimi P2, that's 7-point differential. Is 40 behind, that's 6 races. And 6 races, George could make that up just by, essentially coming in P1 versus a P2. There are other ways, but however, so we're still early on in the season. There's plenty of time for George. George has had some bad luck, but man, I just think Kimi looks better this year. We'll see. Lewis in P3, 125. Oscar Piastri at 80. Lando and Charles tied at 5th at 79. Max is 73. But it looks, we want it to be as many teams and drivers as possible. Right now, though, it still looks like Mercedes is a bit too dominant. Lewis is doing whatever he can. Max is doing whatever he can. Not sure what's going on at McLaren. We'll see. Although I heard, who was it? I don't know if it was Crofty. Somebody said Lewis hasn't been on pole since 2023. And I was like, damn, I can both believe it, and yet that still seems unbelievable all at the same time. All right.
Yeah, Lewis not on pole since 2023.
Did I hear
is
that?
pretty miraculous.
I mean, I know. I was like, wait, I didn't even look it up because I was like, that seems correct. Mercedes was, not at its peak right then. Then Ferrari. I was like, damn, that's pretty shocking. All right, team standings. Mercedes at 302, Ferrari 204, nearly 100 points behind. Damn. McLaren 159. McLaren barely half, just over half the points of Mercedes. I mean, they're like the forgotten team. They won it all last year. They won the drivers' championship. They won the constructors. Now they seem, I don't know, they seem a bit irrelevant. I mean, look, Cadillac had a terrible race, but they're new. Mercedes is dominant again. Red Bull, okay, they're not at their best, but it's actually the first year of Red Bull Forward Power Unit. They're doing fine. Alpine is getting better. Gasly every week seems to get better. And Ferrari, I mean, I'm still skeptical, but Ferrari has the passionate fans. Everybody loves Ferrari. McLaren just seems forgotten.
I mean, yeah, McLaren's sort of just there. P3 in the championship is not so bad. Could be worse. But, I mean, they do feel irrelevant. I think Red Bull, if not for Max, might kind of feel the same. But realistically, like in this race, when did you ever think about Lando or Oscar?
Right.
I mean, when Lewis passed them, I don't know. Like, what?
It really has been quite surprising. I mean, that's what, 2 constructors in a row, right? Lando was champion last year. And now it's just, they're there. Like, yeah, like you said, P3 is not so bad, but they're essentially half. Mercedes at 302, McLaren at 159. That's, who they don't have Max, they don't have Lewis, so it's not Ferrari. So P3, when you don't have Max, you don't have Lewis, and you're not Ferrari, is just, it's no man's land. Red Bull's at 4th at 115, Alpine a distant 5th at 57. But as we've said, Alpine is, they I'm not expecting much, but they've righted that ship, that's for sure. Racing Bulls at 44, 6th place. And they're such a fun team with Lindblad and Lawson.
Yeah, I mean, Alpine last year was basically Aston of this year. So, like, for them to be, top 5 now and looking in the mix pretty consistently is nice. This race didn't go well for them, but I mean, yeah, you got Gasly. He's been doing pretty well. Colapinto kind of, I guess, sort of seemed like he figured it out a little bit. So we'll see how all that goes. I mean, Alpine's been fun to watch. Racing Bulls have been fun to watch. I'm hoping that some of these other teams kind of get a lift with maybe the A duo improvements or just kind of more development throughout the year, looking at Audi and Williams and whatnot. We'll see how all that goes. But I think so far the season has been fun. We've had kind of a lot of different drivers and teams finding their way up the points. You sort of never know what's going to happen with a lot of these reliability issues that we see pretty consistently. It's really only 2 to 3 teams where you maybe go, it's unlikely that they're going to score any points this weekend, right? So,
right. I mean, Cadillac again. I mean, what they both
I think they completed like a total of maybe 8 laps combined.
Right. It's like, damn, but they're at least they're new, unlike Aston. Oof. Although you mentioned ADUO, Christian Horner, we need this man back. He was so much fun. He had Red Bull just badass. He would never have allowed rules where Mercedes gets extra spending. I mean, Mercedes has the fastest car, easily the fastest, most dominant car this year. It's not hyper dominant like, 2015, 2016, but it's the best car. Toto Wolff has snookered these people. He gets extra spending money for upgrades. It's just, you gotta be careful with Toto. Toto is, it's like, I know somebody, she was telling me about this series, she likes Highlander, and she was explaining Highlander, and it's time travel. This woman goes back in time, back and forth in time. And I realized everything that women read and every show that they watch, it's all an elaborate justification for cheating. It's always it's some elaborate justification for cheating. The entire theme, I've never seen the show Highlander, for example. I can guarantee you, the entire theme of this show is she's justified in cheating on her man. Every time. Total Wolff has this sort of brain. He's a big, strapping dude. He's in F1, but he's got that brain where he can sort of justify and figure out all the angles. This dude has the best car in Formula One, and he's getting more spending money. What the hell's Ferrari supposed to do? Who's going to give everything he has? What's he going to do?
I don't know. I think, yeah, it pays to be the best team with the most money and most resources. And when the FIA decides to, I don't know, make any kind of ruling, it always seems unnecessarily convoluted and irrational, even though they try to make you think that it's all totally normal, justifiable, and rational.
It's
But I think that's because, like, if the FIA was German instead of French, right? I think everything would go much smoother. It would be, we wouldn't get results 3 weeks after the end of the race. Everything would be clean and easy and nice. But I think the FIA they gotta do their own thing and make everybody rely on them, for everything. And they want everything to come back to them because they want to be the most important entity. And that is not really what a governing body should do. But it seems like that's what they do. And somehow Toto has figured out how to play them exactly the way he wants.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And you're right that it's very French-like. I mean, you can point to ADUO and point to all of its problems, and they will say, but it's perfect in theory. Well, yes, it is perfect in theory, but you effed it up, okay? No. You can't judge it by practice. You have to judge it by theory. I'm like, okay, well, shit. Then in theory, it's great. Okay. And I'm not American. I'm not bashing French. Like Laurent Mekies, I love Laurent Mekies. He's the prototypical Frenchman. He's like 90 pounds. I guarantee you he lives on cigarettes and wine. That's it. Okay. Maybe black
a little
coffee.
Bit of cheese.
Right. I'm not knocking the French, but I mean, they do have that thing where it's like, no, this works perfect in theory. So therefore, however it plays out in practice is not relevant. Like, well, I don't know. I don't know that.
Maybe so. I don't know. I think I don't know about the FIA. They seem to make confusing and frustrating decisions very, very consistently. And, the governing body is necessary to make things as sort of fair and potentially equitable as possible. But I think sometimes they you come away scratching your head a little bit. So that's what the last few things that they've done seems to do.
Switching to the soft compound, World Cup comes to America, Patrick. These Europeans having a blast in America are going to turn me into a soccer fan. I don't know who else to blame, but they're all having a blast, so I'm having a blast, and it's fun to watch. I mentioned before, like, it would be kind of cool to have like an F1 World Cup, but then as you brought up, there's just not enough teams, not enough drivers. But I did think of something though, because I'm watching these World Cup games, and I started wondering if we applied this to F1, kind of which countries are punching above their weight and which countries are punching below their weight. What do you think of that? Who do you think is punching in Formula One above their weight?
Currently?
Currently and historically.
Well, I mean, I think, I don't know, maybe to me it seems like the most obvious one would be what we mentioned last time, and like Finland, where you got, Raikkonen and Bottas, most recently Hakkinen, I think. Right. So you got some really, really good drivers out of Finland. I would think, like, if you would think of like what would be great racing nations, I don't know if you would necessarily think Brazil immediately, but they might be second only to the UK among, all-time greats. You got Senna, Fittipaldi.
Yeah, Fittipaldi, yeah.
PK, Felipe Massa, right?
Yeah,
like,
you're right. Yeah.
You got some damn good drivers out of Brazil and several champions.
That's true, yeah. Whereas, like, let's say Germany, for example, historically, I mean, Schumacher,
Seb,
Rosberg,
so at least three.
Yeah,
at least three
was
world
Lauda
champions.
from Germany, or he was nearby?
He's Austrian.
Okay, Austrian. But now, I mean, you got Hulk. So if you were historically, Germany's up there, but currently, no. We might want to call New Zealand. I mean, with McLaren. Although I always think of New Zealand as such a complete British principality. To me, it's the North Dakota of the UK. So this is a guy from North Dakota did well. Okay, good for him.
Yeah. Or like, I
My
mean, Australia down there, right?
Yeah,
You got Ricardo, Piastri, Weber.
right.
There's plenty of good drivers from Australia.
Monegasque is Leclerc, but if they think of the Monaco race, there's no historically more important race. Or similar, I guess, not so much driver, but Italy with Ferrari.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, you could say who Fangio, but it's more Ferrari than anything else. Whereas you start looking below their weight. I mean, America, it's hard to say America's punching below its weight. We've been focused so much on NASCAR, on Indy. We've only, in the last few years, really started focusing on F1. So I guess China, that's a country that, India, what have they done in Formula One?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say, like, depends on what you would kind of expect. F1 historically is like so European centric that it seems to me like of European nations, you would kind of have to look at the European nations and see
Yeah,
like, okay, who really is not doing all that great. I mean, realistically, like it would be the French, right? You had Renault, but among, you know, both constructors and drivers champions, like they are sort of the biggest losers, I guess, So I don't know. I think ultimately it's becoming a much more global sport, and so many more people around the world and kind of host nations are becoming interested in the sport that, in a decade's time, maybe you could go and say, well, okay, these are kind of the nations with the highest hopes and sort of lowest expectations, that kind of thing.
right. Our Dirty Air segment. Speaking of Renault/Alpine, I don't think most folks, including most F1 fans, understand how the sport is transforming. There are multiple revolutions per minute taking place within F1, and we've touched on all of these over the years. Number one, the rise of America. Number two, I think the technical innovations and almost the technical extremism, the technical sort of just arms race that we're experiencing. I mean, these engines, and it isn't even just new materials, aerodynamics, simulations. That just this, we can't, as much as we want to go, so I want, just a pure ICE engine. That's not happening. It's like, well, how much do we tinker with the battery? These hybrid engines. We touched on this before. You mentioned it many times. We're moving away from the driver as fighter pilot. It's more space shuttle engineer connected back to the team. Demographics, so much younger now, way more women involved in the sport. Money, man, they all used to have to hustle. These guys would hustle trying to figure out, get a sponsor, get a driver, a paid driver, anything to get a car on the grid. Now, sponsor money is pouring in. I just think people are underestimating all of these concurrent revolutions taking place. Like months ago, we had an episode. I mean, the focus was on how F1 is now a platform. And I saw the chief marketing officer. Seemed like Bernie Ecclestone would never have had a chief marketing officer that wasn't Bernie Ecclestone. But she had this quote the other day, said Formula One continues to evolve as a global entertainment platform, blending sport, hospitality, and destination storytelling to create experiences. That does not sound like F1 of old. And I mean of old, I mean by 2004,
Yeah. I think, we sort of discussed that transition already, and I think it's becoming very clear that that's the intended direction of F1, not just as a sport, but as a global brand and an entertainment platform. And it's, if that's what, someone internal is saying, then it's pretty clear that that is sort of the goal and direction that the sport is moving in. And ultimately, that means these teams also have to keep up with that and understand that, you're not here just to build a car that goes
Yeah.
around the track fast. You're here to grow this platform, and you need to be kind of those faces and sponsors of this brand, essentially, which is very kind of fascinating. These are mostly kind of research and development subsidiaries, if you will, of like global automotive manufacturers, most of these teams, right? So to have all of them kind of be transitioning into this space as well is very fascinating. And it'll be interesting, I guess, to see how that kind of percolates through into most people's sort of daily driving experience.
Yeah. This is why people who predict the future never get it right. Or if they get it right, it's still just not relevant. I mean, no one can predict there's going to be a global pandemic that's going to cause nationwide lockdowns. That's going to drive people to watch Netflix. They're all going to stumble upon Drive to Survive. And suddenly you've got every woman under 40 now an F1 fan. And now the sport is just raining cash. This is not something you can predict. So, but we mentioned Renault Alpine, the big money recently, the big money announcement. Alpine gets this $50 million sponsorship deal, this massive sponsorship deal from Gucci. I mean, this is, I don't know what to say about it. It's just Gucci. They make handbags. They make expensive handbags for women. And now they're going to be the major sponsor. It's not even going to be Alpine anymore. It's going to be, I think, Gucci Alpine or some nonsense.
Yeah, it's a lot of money for Alpine, which is good. I am surprised because, well, I actually don't know this, but I don't think Gucci is French. I would have assumed that those kind of high-end French fashion folk would be more inclined to spend on Alpine, but I don't know.
I
you got
assume it's Italian.
your what the hell are they called? Louis Vuitton or whatever.
Is that
I don't
French?
know.
I
Is
don't
that
know.
French?
Birkin bags. I mean, Birkin. I don't know was she French? I don't know. I think she was. I know who she is. She's adorable. But now they have those Birkin bags. Who the hell makes those? Is that?
Or YSL? Yves Saint Laurent?
Yeah.
That's French, right?
Okay, it sounds French. If you want to punch it just from hearing it, then it's probably French. You sound wrong. Boom, punch you. Yeah, this is.
It's crazy. That's crazy.
What is this
really
going in
hope
5
though.
years?
I really hope that every single race suit that those two walk out in are just the most gaudy, ostentatious, like gross Gucci everything. Like
That would be awesome.
I need that to happen though. Like they really need to lean into it. The new money fashion, like Kanye needs to be designing their race suits. I feel like.
Oh my God, Patrick, this is brilliant. It's like Beverly Hillbillies of Formula 1.
Yeah.
That's what we need. Oh my God, this is brilliant. Wait, we have to stop the show. I got to write this script right now. The Beverly Hillbillies of Formula 1.
Yeah.
Across the line. That is our segment where we predict the top 5 for the next race. The next race is next week in Silverstone. We get this badass Austrian and Silverstone doubleheader. Boom. Last year, here's what we said. No champagne for Nico. Remember? Nico finally got that podium.
Yeah.
Hulkenberg finally got the podium. Damn, Lewis was nipping at his heels. Lewis owned Silverstone. I was like, no, Lewis, I know, any other time I'd be okay, but not this race. Let Nico get on that damn podium. And he did. And the team had no champagne for him. That was also awesome. So it was Lando, Oscar, McLaren, and Nico with Lewis nipping at his heels. So, and across the line, we make our predictions for the top 5 for the next race. If our driver does get in the top 5, we get a point. If he gets in the exact spot we predicted, we get 3 points. But before I ask for a rundown of the points, I'm looking at my notes. This was pretty good last year. We said because Oscar had that ridiculous penalty, I think he was he braking? What was he? He was doing something under safety car and he got a 10-second penalty. And we said, wondered like, is the stress getting to him? And we even said, well, this cost him the championship. Boom. And then we noted that it took Lewis a while, but it seems as if he's now eclipsed Charles at Ferrari. Boom. These were spot on. These were spot on analyses, Patrick. Okay. What's the current standings of across the line?
All right. Well, coming into this race, Austria, you were leading by 11 points, 29 to my 18. Top 5 from this race was Russell, Verstappen, Antonelli, Piastri, Hamilton. A nice, diverse top 5 there. Your picks were Leclerc, Hamilton, Hadjar, Piastri, Russell. So you got a point each for Lewis and Russell, both in the top 5, not where you selected them, and then 3 points for Oscar Piastri in P4. So total of 5. I had Verstappen, Antonelli, Norris, Lindblad, Gasly. So I got a point each for Verstappen and Antonelli, which extends your lead now 34
Nice.
points to my 20. So it's pretty healthy at this point.
That's a nice one. Okay.
However, could always pull a max, the 2025 max, and charge down 100 points. And, we'll see.
You just might. Oh, because I'm not sure I've ever won a full season of Across the Line. Okay, who goes first for Silverstone?
You have first pick.
Silverstone? I know the Brits hate the way I pronounce it, but hey, I'm from Michigan. It's Silverstone.
That's how they spell it, okay? Spell it differently if you don't want to pronounce it that way.
Good point.
Duh.
Yeah, I'm going with a Brit, George Russell.
Oh, and I'm taking Lewis.
Yeah, I wanted to, but I couldn't. My heart wanted to,
Yeah.
but I'm getting greedy now.
Yeah, I'll take Lewis, and then I guess I gotta go with the kid, Kimi. Bring it.
I am not predicting an all-British podium at the British Grand Prix. I'm going to go with Max in P2 and his teammate Isaac Hadjar in P3.
Well, and I'm gonna take. I'll take Oscar, and we'll see if Charles can get off the schneid here. So I'll take Leclerc, P4.
He has been on
Get
the
back into the
schneid.
top 5.
I mean,
We don't know what the schneid is, but he's on it right now. So
if anybody was ever on the schneid, it's right now with Charles Leclerc. All right, then I'm going with Lando and Pierre Gasly.
nice. Who does that leave for me? I will then, we'll bring another Brit into the top 5. I'll take Ollie Behrman.
Nice Haas's. They started out well. It's not been going as well, but we'll see. So you have Lewis, Kimi, Oscar, Charles, and Ollie Behrman as your top 5 at the British Grand Prix. I have George Russell, Max Verstappen, Isaac Hadjar, Lando Norris, and Pierre Gasly. Any crazy predictions, Patrick?
Here's my crazy prediction. It kind of goes along with theme that we were talking about earlier about kind of the revolution in F1. I'm going to say that to go along with kind of this platform that F1 is developing, teams will turn into AI developers. They won't need strategists and race engineers anymore. They'll have AI to do it. And they'll all be expected to build their own AI. And it'll be kind of an arms race for each of the teams to develop the best AI possible to help them strategize and make decisions in real time, which right now, engineers just make models for, but we'll have AI making decisions in real time, executing these and kind of making drivers do what artificial brains want them to do instead of using their own.
That's a very good. I can totally see that. I'm not entirely sure I like it.
I don't like it either.
Yeah, I can see this happening.
There's an AI revolution in the world going on right now, and I don't think anybody really wants it, but it's going to happen.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I mean, hey, when the tide comes in, there's not much you can do. You can go to high ground and try to survive it, but that's about it. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I can almost see like there's a car, there's a driver, there's an AI. I guess you would have a human crew. We might have to have these like artificial, I shouldn't say artificial, these artifices. This sort of like, oh, well, we want to still see humans, so we're going to make it where they have to change the tires at least twice. They have to refuel at least once, things where you're going to have people. Oh, that's a good prediction. I'm not saying good in that I like it, but that's a really good thought-provoking prediction. I don't have a thought-provoking prediction. My crazy prediction after watching our boy Kevin Magnussen in NASCAR. Kevin Magnussen, exactly what we told him to do in F1 is what our boy was doing in NASCAR, which was he was throwing down. He was throwing fists. He was hitting anybody. If you hit him, he hit you back. He never backed down. And I love that they got all pissy. All these NASCAR guys got all pissy at him because, like, hey, you can't just come in here, hit us. And he's like, fuck you, bitch. I just did. What are you going to do about it? And he never backed down, which I loved. And what I think is going to happen is I think that sort of set a precedent where the F1 guys go, our cars are delicate, but they're delicate beasts. We can hang with these NASCAR guys. We're not going to back down just because they hit and they draft and they bump. I think we're going to start seeing more F1 veterans when their time has come go into NASCAR.
Nice.
All right. I want to thank you all for listening to everybody's most beloved father and son F1 podcast. It is much appreciated. We are lights out.
See ya. Thanks for listening.